There's only two conversations tonight, the weather and basketball.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Not in my short lifetime here in Rhode Island have I seen both major programs getting to the NCAA. Last time it happened, 1997, and I arrived 1899. So this is really exciting. Not that this is a barometer on me. Nice to have you in to Dan York State of Mind this evening. It's just depressing, though, to think that we're looking at 1.5 feet tomorrow. Come on, man, really? Let's skip the rundown because it's all basketball tonight. I got two great sports minds with me. 12 to 18 inches. Aren't you praying that this is the one that they overshot the deal? Isn't this the one? It's like, but here's the thing. Usually when we get one of these suckers, it's, okay, 55 degrees the next day, it all melts away. We don't have a temperature reading at 50 degrees for like the next 2 or 3 weeks. So for those of you who are getting your winter swings in the indoor facilities and getting ready to play a little golf, I'd wait a little while. You don't want to rush it. It's all a matter of timing. It certainly is with me. But I got a lot of basketball in my mind anyway, in addition to all these things like the news and that kind of thing. So with that, let's just talk some basketball. Do I need to show you the headlines? Is there anybody that hasn't seen them or at least discussed this at the water cooler today? URI beats VCU in the Atlantic 10 Championship and punches their ticket to the big dance, according to the Journal headline. And then, of course, the program that has now established itself as a almost perennial entry into the NCAA. This is a record for the program to be in there for the 4th straight season. I think the Cooley coaching job probably is the best one in the Big East, and he talked about it to our own Channel 12 about the trip to Dayton in just a couple of nights.
Playing the best we can right now. Yeah, we had a little blip the other day where we didn't play well. There's some circumstances that go with that, but as long as you're invited to this game, you have an opportunity to advance. I'd rather be the last team in, the 66th team in, the 64th team in, versus playing in the tournament that follows tonight.
Yes, he always has a way to get it right, doesn't he?
He does.
Bill Koch from the Providence Journal and Mark Dondero here from Channel 12. I'll just let you guys chat. You're back from Pittsburgh in the Atlantic 10 tournament.
Back this morning, a little overnight drive. And,
excellent coverage.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you are back from the airport.
I was at the airport last night, listening to chants, collecting sound, celebrating.
Yeah.
Great scene.
We'll have Mark's report, if you didn't see it last night on the TV in our next segment. Well, how exciting is this?
First time we've seen it in 18 years that Rhode Island's won an A10 championship, and first time they've been in the NCAA since then as well. Long overdue, you would say.
I loved everything about this. I thought that this team was able to overcome a lot of adversity, dating back to last year. E.C. Matthews getting hurt, tough losses to Providence. You know, they were supposed to beat Providence this year. That was a dropping of the ball in my mind. But they got through that. They got through not reaching expectations early in the season. Tough losses, buzzer beaters. They couldn't do anything right early. And they come through all that. They get hot. And here we are.
I think the biggest thing for them was they were left for dead after they lost to Fordham. That was on February 15th. They scored 43 points in that game. They were out of any reasonable tournament projection that you could find.
Might have been one of the more. Were you in the post game that day, too?
I was in, and you asked Dan Hurley how much of this is on the coaching, Dan? Because that was an awful loss, and that was a question that had to be asked.
What I said was, in the 5th year, should this be happening, considering the roster that you have and the expectations that you had? And I think that if this team had been the hunters instead of the hunted early, they might have performed a little bit better. That was the type of thing that they needed to close ranks, come together and say, all right, guys, we need to do this now. No one else is going to help us. We're not going to get any help from the selection committee. We're going to need to win a conference championship here and remove all doubt. And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, you make a good point. I hang out in the post-game home press conferences. If you're not aware, I do the public address for the games at URI. You tick the coach off with that question, albeit a proper one.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying that you're a motivating factor, but how the team is reported about and on is got a lot to do with their mental state. That loss, off a tough loss to Dayton,
right,
it was as predictable as anything. You know, the administration, they all had that tentative, worried, pensive look on their faces. We knew it would be unfortunately, the program hasn't risen to the level where they fill it no matter what, so it was a half-empty building. And we just kind of knew that this was a survival day, and the kids didn't look that, the student athletes didn't look that ready, and it just was the thing that I'm sure everybody feared. And then you come in and say, you know, should it happen? And the answer is, of course it shouldn't have happened.
Right.
Of course it shouldn't have happened. But for some reason, it may be the thing that actually created whatever Danny Hurley did with that club, produced an 8-game winning streak that is now historic.
The way that they've been able to respond, they've just played up to the talent level that we all assumed was there.
He would say they're healthy now. This is what, if we weren't injured, we're healthy now. As if this is, because recruiting and putting a team together is as much a part of the job as the X's and O's. So
Right.
look, this is what I built. Now it's working. And you know what? He's got a legitimate argument.
Well, they still need to go out and perform, obviously. He has the best laid plans, of course, but when a guy like E.C. Matthews throws down a dunk like he did against Davidson on senior night at home, it's the most athletic thing he's done maybe in his Rhode Island career. And it just screams to everyone who was there, my knee is healthy.
Right.
I'm fine. And he carried that into the A-10 tournament. He was the MVP, playing efficiently, 58 points on 31 shots in 3 games. He's the type of closer, elite, high-level scorer that can drag you there. Jared Terrell makes a key steal late in the VCU game. The sort of winning play, the sort of alpha dog championship DNA that you need out of guys. Hassan Martin is the type of senior who can rally the rest of the roster around him. Those guys wanted to send him into the NCAA tournament where he can end his career there, either playing those games or cutting down the nets at some point in Phoenix. There were a lot of motivations that came together for them.
What's interesting, we're going to talk about this in the next segment, how do you keep the emotional level going? You know, with college programs, you always wonder when they're going to take that breather or recover from the downside. The senior night that you're talking about against Davidson at the Ryan Center, in the 5 years I've been there every night, was the most perfect college basketball evening this program has had. The seniors go out on a 5-game regular season win streak. Now they're back in the hunt in the bubble of the NCAA. Now they've got a mission in the Atlantic 10 tournament. But the emotion was so high on that evening, the celebration, as if it was their own championship in their own minds, I thought might have created an Atlantic 10. Instead, they just kept going like a freight train, right?
Yeah, and one of the big things about that game, they won that in overtime, right? They've had trouble winning close games, so check another thing off the list. I think what happened was, you guys both play golf. You know when the round is kind of in the gutter and you just, whatever, then you just start playing well because you stop caring, you start just reacting. I think after that loss to Fordham, there's no point to be tight anymore. We're on the brink right now. Just let it rip. And I think that's what they did, and they got some momentum, some confidence from there.
You like that analogy?
We've watched the Patriots for years. What does Belichick always do? Nobody respects us. Nobody thinks we can win. You always hear the players talk about that. Teddy Bruschi was a master of that when he was in New England. They all thought we would lose. No one thought we could go on the road and beat Pittsburgh. No one thought we could beat the Rams in the Super Bowl. It's an incredibly motivating thing for high-level athletes.
Something changed after that Fordham, like you said. So they haven't lost since, right?
8 straight.
I mean, that's just, there you go. There's your Kansas City Chiefs moment or whatever.
Yeah, I have a funny feeling that after the Fordham loss, and even after the wins after the Fordham loss, Danny Hurley was talking about the Fordham loss the entire way.
I think they might have heard about it a little bit. Yeah.
In fact, they might have heard about it yesterday at halftime. Who knows? But what an incredible turnaround. Now, Cooley, without a doubt, deserves every accolade he can get because he's got a team that is rebuilding and not expected to do much, is in the gutter, really, not the gutter, but close to the gutter, mid-season. All of a sudden, he turns it around. Another comeback story.
Phenomenal. The best coaching job he's done in 6 years at Providence, and that's saying something, considering some of the other teams he's had. 4th straight NCAA, the first time that's ever happened in that program. And this is a team with no seniors, who was picked 9th in the Big East. Just a phenomenal job by Ed Cooley.
I think the best coaching job he's done was when he won the Big East tournament, but this was right up there. I mean, I was hearing whispers over the summer that they were going to be terrible, not even close. And this team, I didn't even hear some of these recruits they get, these guys, transfers, whatever, they come out of not nowhere. I know Kyron Cartwright was highly touted. Chris Dunn loved Kyron Cartwright, but he's been awesome. And there they go. They were 4-8 in the Big East.
Yes.
Dead, done. You're
Unbelievable.
not coming back from 4-8.
So here's the irony. We're going to talk about it in our next segment. Think about this. All the pundits now are talking about URI as the team to watch in the tournament, and no one's talking about PC. We'll talk about that when we come back. Stay with us.
They'll be ready for us, just like we'll be ready for them. Obviously, we beat them last year, so they're kind of coming for a little bit of revenge. We'll be ready for it.
Jalen Lindsay talking about USC, who is their play-in opponent. That is the growth from 64 to 68 teams in the NCAA tournament that's gone on. And it happens at my alma mater, at the UD Arena in Dayton, Ohio. I'll be offering Coach Cooley a couple of tidbits on how to win the building. Do what we can here locally. It's not like we're unfamiliar. It's not unfamiliar territory. By the way, Mark, before we get into the brackets, Mark was able to check out the scene at the airport last night. It was pretty cool.
And URI did get off the plane. They were the last ones off the plane. They stayed and shook hands and kissed babies and did everything for every fan that wanted a picture or an autograph or to touch the trophy or anything. They were very gracious and very appreciative of the crowd here at TF Green Airport. And why not? They're in great moods after winning the A-10 title, their first since 1999. And now, as we know, they're heading to the dance.
We got great fans, and we've got great support, and they deserve it. They deserve it. It's a place that been starving for it for a long time, and we took some big steps this year, and we've now established ourselves as a type of program that we hope to get receptions like this every March.
We really blessed to have all these people here, and it just goes to show how much pride and respect we got for doing things like this. So it's an honor.
Being a part of history here, this hasn't been done in a very long time. I think we got more in the tank for another run, and I can't wait to get to that tournament.
We'll face Creighton on Friday out in Sacramento, California. Creighton, a Big East team. However, Dan Hurley not all that interested in talking about the matchup yet. He's still digesting the win, trying to enjoy it. They'll get into that. As for the storm and travel, they don't play till Friday, so it looks like a Wednesday departure, assuming everything goes according to plan. Wednesday around midday. That is the tentative plan, but they'll let us know.
Over it.
One of the funnier moments real quick from last night was when the fans were waiting for URI to get off the plane. Some poor girl gets off the plane, comes down the escalator in a PC shirt. They boo the crap out of her. And she was like, hey, sorry.
Well, they came home in a commercial flight, which is interesting. We don't have to get into that, but this is a pedestrian team for the most part, building a program. PC doesn't fly other than charter, correct?
Correct.
So this is all part. That maybe is part of the romance of this whole thing, that they had to do the connecting flight through Baltimore to watch the selection show at a bar at the Pittsburgh airport, come in with the regular crowd. It's maybe part of the lunch pail conversation that the URI Rams have right now.
It's also part of a promise that there could be more there.
Yes.
And that this is the sort of thing, and Dan Hurley said this in his postgame yesterday, we needed this sort of win to set our fan base on fire.
Right.
Which I thought was
I
a great
thought it was
quote.
terrific that people took the opportunity to go. I mean, in true fashion, what's really the number? How many? A few hundred people?
A few hundred people, but there were people there telling me that they came, obviously, just to show up, just to support the team. They had no business at the airport. I mean, they just wanted to be there.
Right.
That's at 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday. I thought that was great.
Yes.
It was a great scene.
There's an indication that there's an electricity. And I'll tell you, I'm calling the radio and we'll talk about the high school stuff coming up here in a little bit. Bill has got some expertise, obviously, on that because he follows it. You follow it a little bit, right? The high school stuff. You're with it. But I'm calling the radio the quarterfinal games, and the first game is at 12, and they're playing 12:30. I'm watching this while I'm calling that.
Sure.
I'm literally watching this. But everybody in the building was wondering about how URI was doing the Atlantic 10 tournament, and that's not something that I necessarily have seen in the last few years. So that's a big deal. It's a big deal for them.
No, it is, and it's something that they need. You understand that the state only gives them about 9% of their budget. Right. They are very heavily funded by donors and by longtime faithful supporters in that program, and they need to grow that group, and this is the type of thing that can help grow that group.
Here's the question that is relatively unanswered, even though I think you've got more intel than most. Would URI have gotten into the show if they had not won the Atlantic 10 tournament and the automatic berth? Most people say yes.
The selection committee chairman, Mark Hollis, on Westwood One Radio last night said that they would have gone to Dayton. They would have been one of the last four in, playing in the first four. By winning the A-10 tournament, they bumped Providence from one of the one of the 4 teams who was going to be able to avoid Dayton back into the play.
So will Ed Cooley be feeding Dan Hurley information on Creighton?
Oh, good question.
Well, you're seeing this later, but I got Cooley. We record in the afternoon. I got Cooley on the radio at 5. That's a question I'll be asking.
Better question is, conversations have gone on throughout the year between the Rhode Island staff and Preston Murphy,
That's right.
their former assistant coach, now an assistant at Creighton. How much has he said to Dan Hurley about his team and about their progress, and how much of that has been filed away over 5
the intrigue
months?
is
Did a
just
story on him a long
it's
time ago.
unbelievable. But here's the irony. First of all, the sad irony for me personally is if URI went to Dayton, the alma mater, my boys were ready for me to go to URI to see the Dayton to see URI play.
Absolutely.
They're now going to Indianapolis on the weekend, and I'd have to go to Sacramento. Can't do that. Enough about me. But it's ironic that there, Cooley replaces URI literally in that slot.
Yeah.
And here's the funny thing now. Let's talk about PC and USC in that slot. We've got the brackets that we can show you. PC is in the East bracket, and if they win at Dayton, they slide in to play SMU, who's 29-4 and is a 6 seed. If you got a good screen TV, you'll be able to see this. Here's what's funny. No one's talking about PC. Nobody.
Including us.
We are now.
We are now.
They could beat USC easily.
Sure they can. Why not?
Can they beat SMU?
Why not?
Can I just real quick, what bugs me? I don't like how, once again, Providence is playing a game against a team that we've already seen them play in the tournament. 2 years, they played UNC, now it's USC. Let's go. Switch it up. Can't control that, but it just annoys me. Sorry.
Is that a relevant criticism?
Yeah, it's not anything's
I don't
fault.
think he's wrong. You like to see new, fresh opponents.
Yeah.
If you're a Providence fan, you think,
But
I'm over this.
every
I've
match
seen
is
USC.
different. The funny thing is that one little hiccup and PC is not a conversation. That's perfect for Cooley, isn't it? It's perfect for Cooley.
Like we said earlier about URI with the loss to Fordham. Any little bit of disrespect, these guys will jump on that and use it as motivation. I'm sure Ed will do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, how many times has that team bounced back from flat performances?
Well, like
a
Mark
handful
said.
of times this year.
Yeah, and Yanni was at the watch party or whatever. That wasn't much of a party after they found out they were playing in the playing game. They're not happy. You could see it on their faces. I didn't think they looked happy. They are not happy. They didn't like to be there. They didn't want to do that game. They're mad about the loss in the Big East tournament.
So
Their
in order to
fire
win the
is
national
there.
championship, they'd have to play one more game. You'd never know. That's the wonder of March Madness. Now on the other side, URI is a bubble outside, win some games, all of a sudden bubble on the bubble, now the bubble inside, then their automatic berth, and now the pundits on CBS and everything else, and TBS, now they say, oh, wait a second, this bracket, this URI team, they're on fire, and they're good enough, and they're healthy, and they could go. Does Hurley want to hear that?
Of course not.
They don't want to hear that noise, and all of a sudden they are one of those picks you got to make in your bracket because they could make a real dent in this thing.
No, because the theme of the whole show tonight, as we've said, is they want to be disrespected. They would love if 98% of the country picked Creighton in that game, and they could walk into the locker room and say, hey, guys, no one thinks that we should even be here.
At the
So let's
same
go out and
time,
prove everybody wrong.
I think they're good enough right now to carry in an attitude that they could beat anybody.
I think the most important thing is if you look at their potential path, you have Creighton, who lost Maurice Watson to a torn ACL. You have
Meaning,
Oregon.
for those of you who don't follow it that closely, their key players hurt, and Oregon's got a key player hurt.
Would have been an All-American point guard. Oregon lost Chris Boucher, who's a big guy, one of the best shot blockers in the nation, to a torn ACL as well in the Pac-12 tournament this weekend. So I think a lot of people, when they look at Rhode Island and project them into the Sweet 16, they're looking at it thinking that they have the potential to play two teams that are wounded and might be able to get a little help. Also, they're playing in Sacramento. UCLA is in Sacramento. If Rhode Island is playing Oregon, those UCLA fans will be on Rhode Island's side because they would want to see another Pac-12 team go down.
Anybody willing to say that URI goes to regional?
Goes to an alliteration round?
I mean, yeah, no, it goes to the, no, do they win two and go to the regional?
You want me to predict that right here, right now?
I'm asking, is anybody willing to do it?
I'm not going to do that right now.
You're not going to do that
I got
right now?
another day or two.
I certainly think they're capable.
They can win these
I'm
two
calling
games.
it. What do I got to lose?
Yeah.
I got URI to the regional. This could be a story not yet told. Speaking of stories not yet told, the high school teams are at it. Bill covers that on a regular basis. So does Mark. We'll check in on that when we come back. Stay with us. Don't forget the Credit Union Championships this weekend at the Ryan Center. Barrington, the #1 seed for the girls, and they and LaSalle are the favorites. Barrington will play Moses Brown, and LaSalle plays Johnston. We got a chance to meet some of the young ladies here on the show last week. It was fun to see that. So we got a headline there, LaSalle, Barrington, amongst the two that will go to the finals for the girls' championship. And of course, the girls' championship will be live on the radio on WPRO on Sunday. And then we'll just run down some headlines here real quick. Hendricken knocks out East Providence in the quarterfinal yesterday. East Providence played some offensive ball like I've never seen for about 9 minutes, and then it kind of dried up, but they made a good effort. Shea, the Division II undefeated team that lost to Cumberland in the Division II championship, came back strong yesterday and beat Mount Pleasant, so they advance. And Shea will end up playing St. Ray's. North Kingstown, in a totally different style game, beat Narragansett. And they will play Hendricken, and St. Ray's beat Cumberland, the Division II champions. And there's your headlines. So we've got some exciting stuff going on at the Ryan Center. Any suggestions on the girls' side? What's going to happen there?
Well, the first suggestion I have, I'll give it my favorite part about the girls' side is that Bishop Hendricken cannot win the title, and I have nothing but respect for Bishop Hendricken, but they win all the titles, and for what we do, it's nice to see some teams.
You know, there's no girls at Bishop Hendricken. Okay.
So they can't win that championship.
Very, very clever. Very clever.
Don't want to spoil this joke.
No.
All right. Well, that's that analysis. Barrington looks like they might have the muscle. They're the #1 seed.
They're good. Very capable. The only team they lost to, North Kingstown, they avenged that in the quarterfinals. They play against Moses Brown. Aluchi Azema, Moses Brown's front court all-stater, was named the state's Gatorade Player of the Year today.
Wow.
And she's a handful inside, and Barrington's going to have to contend with her. On the other side, Johnston, nice to see a Division II team get in there. That always adds a level of intrigue. They have a wonderful guard, Jordan Moretti.
And we met her last week. She's terrific.
As quick as can be. And we'll see how LaSalle can contain her.
It's only a minute left or so. The boys, it's a wide open tournament. I mean, Hendricken's the #1 seed, obviously the favorite there, but any one of those teams can win this thing.
You got a great Division I rivalry on one side, Hendricken and North Kingstown. There's no love lost there. And then the battle for Pawtucket on the other side, private against public, St. Ray's against Shea.
Yeah, and Shea came back with a real great effort after kind of laying an egg against Cumberland in the Division II championship.
Which they were not happy about. They had to go into the locker room. There was yelling. They had to come back out. So they were hungry.
Been a lot of that going on today on the show.
Yes. All right. Any prediction on who wins those?
Hendricken looks really good right now, and on the girls' side, Barrington and LaSalle, I think, will meet in the finals, and I think it'll be a classic.
All right. Well, listen, if we're going to have to deal with 1.5 feet of snow, at least we got something to distract us, right? Great effort at the airport. Heroic effort getting back here. You drove the whole way. Boy, the newspaper business. It's tough, isn't it?
It is.
Thanks, guys. We'll be right back. Stay with us. You know, we may have some guest trouble tomorrow with this big storm, so there's a chance that you'll see a repeat of a conversation from last week, an important one on 38 Studios with Tim White and Ted Nesi on the Tuesday program, and we'll be back with an original program on Wednesday. Of course, during the storm, I promise you, we'll be on the radio live at 3 o'clock on WPRO, and we'll talk you through it together. Bread, milk, you know the routine. Good night.